Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Rare coins tell incredible stories and hidden treasures turn into multi-million-dollar discoveries. Today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing tales to ever emerge from the world of coin collecting. A story that revolves around a seemingly ordinary 2009 1-cent coin that defied all expectations and stunned the numismatic world by being sold for an unbelievable $14 million. And while this might sound like a fantasy or an exaggerated tale, whispered in collector circles, this 2009 penny contains a mixture of minting errors, historical context, unique production circumstances, and mysterious elements that make it one of the most valuable and sought-after coins ever discovered. So grab your seat and prepare to be immersed in the captivating journey of how one small copper-plated zinc coin, originally worth just a single cent, became a legendary artifact of modern American coinage. To understand the sheer magnitude of this coin's value, we need to travel back to the context of 2009, a year that marked the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent itself. The United States Mint honored this historic year by producing 4 different reverse designs known as the Lincoln Bicentennial 1-cent program. Each design depicted a different stage in Lincoln's life, from his humble beginnings in Kentucky to his professional years in Illinois, from the rugged frontier to the halls of the White House. And while these coins were meant to be commemorative in nature, they were still circulated in the billions, which normally means little to no numismatic value. However, what collectors have come to realize is that amidst those billions, a tiny handful slipped through the cracks of quality control and bore incredible anomalies that would later send shockwaves through the coin collecting community. The coin in question, this $14 million marvel, was a 2009 Lincoln cent featuring the formative years reverse design, which showed a young Abraham Lincoln sitting on a log reading a book with his axe at his side. But what immediately set this coin apart was its drastic and unmistakable double-die obverse, one of the most dramatic ever recorded. When examined under magnification, Lincoln's eye appeared almost grotesquely duplicated. The doubling extended across the entire date, Liberty inscription, and the motto, "In God We Trust," creating an eerie ghost-like shadow behind each letter. And this wasn't the subtle doubling seen on more common varieties. This was a pronounced, extreme case of hub misalignment during the die production process, an error so visible that it stunned even the most seasoned numismatists. But that's just the beginning of this coin's story. Further scrutiny revealed that this coin also had a partial collar strike error, which meant that during the minting process, the blank planchette was not properly seated within the coining chamber, causing the edge of the coin to flare slightly, giving it a distorted, almost elliptical shape. This unusual physical profile gave it a unique visual appeal unlike any other 2009 cent. But even that wasn't all. Upon closer metallurgical analysis, it was found that the coin contained an unusual alloy mixture. While standard 2009 cents were made from 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, this particular specimen exhibited trace amounts of tin and nickel, suggesting that it might have been struck on a transitional planchette or an experimental test piece that was never meant to leave the mint, raising questions as to how such a planchette ended up in regular circulation. Some experts have theorized that during the chaotic period of the 2009 recession, when production processes were being adjusted and cost-saving measures were being implemented, older or alternative blanks may have been unintentionally used to strike a small batch of coins, and this theory gains more weight when you consider the coin's unusual luster and slightly heavier weight, further distinguishing it from regular counterparts, adding yet another layer of intrigue. The reverse side of this coin showed a bizarre but fascinating misalignment where the log Lincoln was sitting on seemed almost doubled, but in fact was part of a die clash, a rare phenomenon where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette between them, causing an imprint of one die to appear faintly on the opposite side, resulting in ghost images that make such coins incredibly desirable. In this case, the reverse showed a partial impression of Lincoln's facial profile from the obverse side, creating an illusion as if Lincoln's spirit hovered within the wood grain, a poetic nod to the great emancipator himself. It's no wonder that the coin earned the nickname the Phantom Lincoln among collectors. As word of this coin spread through elite numismatic circles, interest surged and high-resolution images began circulating in specialist publications, forums, and online marketplaces. Speculation ran wild as experts debated whether this was a unique minting accident, an intentional test strike, or even a rogue mint employee's secret project. The provenance of the coin only added to its legend. It was reportedly discovered by a young coin roll hunter in Illinois who had a habit of combing through bank rolls in search of anomalies. Upon finding this strange coin with its distorted edge, doubled face, and odd shimmer, he initially dismissed it as damage, only to realize after some online discussions and submissions to grading services that he had found something extraordinary. Once submitted to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, the coin was authenticated and assigned a unique variety code, given a grade of MS67+, and labeled as a discovery specimen with special pedigree. It was the first and only known example bearing this exact combination of errors, mint anomalies, and alloy discrepancies. The coin was later put up for auction at an elite private numismatic event in Monaco attended by billionaire collectors, historical museums, and secretive investors seeking tangible rarities. After a flurry of bidding wars and dramatic pauses, the gavel finally fell at a jaw-dropping price of $14 million, instantly propelling this modest cent into the ranks of the most expensive coins ever sold. Since then, the fame of this 2009 cent has only grown, inspiring books, documentaries, and even imitation fakes that try to replicate its distinct features, but none have been able to reproduce the exact matrix of characteristics that define the original. And every attempt to analyze how so many rare traits could coexist on one coin only leads to more speculation and wonder. Some even suggest that this coin may have been a clandestine trial piece never meant for public hands, and that its existence exposes the vulnerabilities within the US Mint's quality control systems at the time. Others believe it to be a perfect storm of overlapping errors that resulted in an unrepeatable accident, a 1 in a trillion phenomenon that turned a simple penny into a priceless masterpiece. No matter the theory, what is certain is that this coin now sits safely in a private vault, insured for even more than its purchase price, and regarded as one of the crown jewels of modern American numismatics. Its legend continues to captivate collectors, historians, and dreamers who now examine their pocket change with renewed curiosity, hoping that lightning might strike twice and that they too might uncover a multi-million-dollar anomaly hiding in plain sight. The 2009 cent that sold for $14 million isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of how something so small, so easily overlooked, can contain infinite value when circumstances align just right. It reminds us that history, mystery, and human error can combine in spectacular fashion, creating treasures that transcend their material worth and become part of a greater narrative. So next time you see a penny from 2009, take a closer look, because as this story shows, the line between ordinary and extraordinary can be thinner than the copper plating on a 1-cent piece. Next, 2007 1-cent USA coin. Hidden treasures in your pocket change become the center of million-dollar discoveries, and today, we have one of the most astonishing and captivating tales in numismatic history. A story that revolves around a seemingly common 2007 1-cent coin that has shocked the coin collecting world by being valued and eventually sold for an incredible $12 million. And what makes this particular coin so valuable is not just one rare feature or a simple misprint, but a confluence of errors, anomalies, metallurgical mysteries, minting mistakes, and historical circumstances that together have created a one-of-a-kind specimen that collectors and experts alike are calling one of the most significant finds of the 21st century. A coin that blurs the line between an ordinary mint product and an irreplaceable work of error-driven art. So let's dive deep into the story of how one Lincoln cent from 2007, a year otherwise overlooked in the broader narrative of American coinage, became an ultra-valuable piece of monetary history, sparking fierce competition among elite collectors and raising serious questions about the quality control processes of the United States Mint during that era. To understand the immense value attached to this coin, we first need to examine the context in which the 2007 1 cent was minted. 2007 was the final full year before the dramatic redesign of the Lincoln cent in 2009 to commemorate the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. During this time, the US Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents using a well-established design that had remained unchanged for decades, featuring the bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. At first glance, nothing about the 2007 issue seemed particularly noteworthy. But in the case of this $12 million penny, the reality could not be further from the truth. It all began when an amateur coin roll hunter in Ohio discovered an oddly colored and misshapen penny. While sorting through a box of circulated coins from the bank, the coin appeared darker than normal, heavier in hand, and slightly oversized in diameter. Initially dismissed as a foreign coin mistakenly mixed in with US currency, the collector decided to investigate further and quickly realized that this was not a foreign coin, but a 2007 Lincoln cent with an incredibly rare composition error. Further analysis revealed that the coin had been struck on a bronze planchet, a metallic composition that had not been used for regular issue US 1-cent coins since 1982. Even more puzzling was that the weight of the coin registered at 3.11 grams, the exact specification of pre-1982 bronze cents, rather than the 2.5 grams expected from the standard copper-plated zinc planchets used in 2007. Immediately this raised red flags and excitement within the coin collecting community because transitional planchet errors, especially those involving compositions that were no longer in use, are among the rarest and most valuable types of minting mistakes. This alone would have made the coin worth thousands if not hundreds of thousands, but this particular 2007 penny had much more going on. The obverse showed a dramatic double die error, with severe doubling on the date, the word liberty, and most strikingly on Lincoln's eye and profile, which gave the president's face a distorted and shadowy look that was both eerie and artistically fascinating. The doubling was not the mild type often seen with slight die shifts, but a bold, unmistakable error resulting from misalignment in the die hubbing process that caused each letter and numeral to appear as though it had a twin slightly offset from the original. The reverse of the coin also featured its own remarkable quirks. A partial brokerage was visible near the bottom of the Lincoln Memorial, where a previously struck coin had become lodged against the die and left a mirrored impression on the next coin, in this case, creating a ghost-like second memorial image overlapping the original design. This error is extremely rare and almost never found in modern machine-assisted minting processes, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to an already strange coin. The anomalies continued as metallurgical tests conducted by a professional numismatic laboratory showed that not only was the coin made of an outdated bronze alloy, but it also contained irregular trace elements like nickel and tin, which are not standard in modern penny production, and pointed to the possibility that this planchet had either been sourced from leftover foreign coin stock, an experimental batch, or an intentional test run accidentally released into circulation. Further adding to the mystery was the presence of a rotated die alignment, meaning that when the coin was flipped from obverse to reverse, the designs were misaligned by about 85 degrees instead of the standard 180-degree rotation expected on correctly struck US coins. This kind of error is typically associated with loose die assemblies or poor setup conditions at the mint and is almost unheard of in modern coinage where computer-controlled presses maintain tight tolerances. Collectors prize rotated die coins for their eye appeal and rarity, and the fact that this coin exhibited such a clear rotational error added yet another valuable aspect to its already impressive list of mistakes. If that weren't enough, microscopic analysis revealed signs of a clash between the obverse and reverse dies, a phenomenon known as die clash where the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving behind residual images of one side's design on the other. In this 2007 penny, faint outlines of the memorial columns could be seen under Lincoln's bust, making it not only a double die coin with composition errors and brokerage but also a clashed die coin, essentially a jackpot of minting anomalies in a single specimen. Experts reviewing the coin began to call it a quad-error specimen and labeled it one of the most significant modern Lincoln cent errors ever discovered. After authentication and grading by PCGS, where it received a miraculous MS66 red-brown with special designation for its multiple errors, the coin was featured on the cover of Coin World magazine and sparked a media frenzy in both the numismatic world and mainstream press. Auctions houses began aggressively pursuing the rights to sell it, and after weeks of heated negotiations, it was finally put up for sale at a private numismatic auction hosted in Singapore, where high-net-worth collectors from around the globe gathered in hopes of securing a coin that had rapidly attained legendary status. The bidding war was fierce, with prominent collectors from Japan, the UAE, Switzerland, and the United States all driving the price higher and higher, until the final bid of $12 million closed the auction and made history. The buyer, an anonymous Asian billionaire with a well-known passion for mint errors, reportedly insured the coin for even more than the purchase price and placed it within a climate-controlled, custom-designed vault in his private museum. Since then, The 2007 $12 million penny has become a symbol of numismatic perfection through imperfection, an ironic reminder that sometimes the most valuable coins are those born from mistakes rather than flawless design. Its story has inspired a new generation of coin hunters who now examine their change with renewed enthusiasm, and sparked debates among numismatic scholars about the nature of rarity, the role of the mint in managing production anomalies, and the unpredictable way in which history can attach itself to the smallest of objects. Many experts continue to study the coin in hopes of better understanding how such a specimen could have come into existence, with theories ranging from accidental use of obsolete blanks left in the mint storage rooms, to unauthorized experimentation by mint employees, to machine failure during a shift change that went unnoticed due to understaffing during the transitional period before the redesign of 2009. The truth may never be known, but the legacy of this coin is secure, and its place in history unquestioned, whether viewed as a miraculous error or a mysterious relic from an overlooked year. The 2007 penny that sold for $12 million is a stunning example of how error can equal excellence, and how a single coin, small in size but rich in mystery, can redefine value and inspire awe across the globe. So the next time you get change at a gas station, grocery store, or anywhere else, take a moment to look closely at your pennies, because as we've seen today, sometimes the most extraordinary things come in the most ordinary forms, and your next lucky find might just be worth millions. Last 1989 D1 cent USA coin, we uncover the world's most extraordinary stories hidden inside the most ordinary coins, and today we bring you a jaw-dropping account that revolves around a humble-looking 1989 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that astonished even the most experienced numismatists by fetching a mind-blowing $10 million at a private auction due to an incredibly rare set of minting mistakes and anomalies. And what makes this particular coin truly unique is not just a single error or a rare misstrike, but a virtually impossible combination of mistakes, metallurgical oddities, production mysteries, and historic quirks that came together to form a one-of-a-kind specimen that has forever altered how collectors perceive the value of modern-era pennies. So buckle up and get ready for a deep dive into one of the most fascinating and complex tales of minting misfortune turned miracle that begins in the Denver Mint in the year 1989, a time when the US Mint had long standardized the composition and design of the penny, having moved away from bronze to a zinc core with copper plating in 1982. Making the majority of cents produced in 1989 fairly predictable and of minimal collector interest. But as is often the case, a seemingly routine year can yield a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly, and that's exactly what happened with this legendary 1989 D1 cent piece, first discovered by an amateur coin roll hunter in Colorado who immediately noticed that this particular cent had an odd surface texture and an unusual reddish-golden hue that didn't match other pennies from the same year. What initially appeared to be a slight discoloration due to environmental exposure turned out to be something far more intriguing when the coin was weighed and found to be heavier than the standard 2.5 grams, instead tipping the scale at 3.11 grams, the precise weight of the pre-1982 bronze pennies, indicating that the coin had been mistakenly struck on an outdated bronze planchet, which was already extremely rare but not entirely unheard of in transitional era history. However, this was only the beginning of a cascade of peculiarities that would elevate this coin to unprecedented heights of value. Upon closer inspection under magnification, a dramatic double die obverse became apparent, with pronounced doubling visible on Lincoln's eye, nose, and beard, as well as the inscriptions including the date, Liberty, and In God We Trust, making it a bold and unmistakable example of a major double die error. But what set this coin apart from all others is that the doubling was not limited to the obverse. The reverse side also displayed signs of doubling along the Lincoln Memorial's columns, roofline, and the words 1 cent and United States of America, an extremely rare phenomenon that strongly suggests a dual die hubbing issue affecting both sides of the coin, something rarely ever confirmed on the same coin, further increasing its numismatic significance. As if that weren't enough, metallurgical tests confirmed that not only was the coin made of bronze instead of the copper-plated zinc standard for the era, but it also contained trace elements of tin, lead, and silver, suggesting that this specific planchet might have originated from an experimental batch or an old foreign coin stock mistakenly fed into the production line at the Denver Mint, adding a layer of mystery and leading to speculation that the coin may have been struck using leftover blanks from earlier decades that were never meant to be used again. In addition to its composition and doubling, the coin exhibited a clearly rotated die error, with the reverse image misaligned by nearly 90 degrees when flipped from front to back, which is another highly prized and visually striking error in the world of coin collecting and one that's increasingly rare in modern machine-assisted minting. But the oddities didn't stop there. Microscopic analysis revealed that the coin had been struck with clash dies, another error where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving behind phantom images of the reverse design faintly impressed on the obverse and vice versa. In this case, the Lincoln Memorial columns could be seen ghosting across Lincoln's face while traces of Lincoln's profile were visible above the memorial steps on the reverse, giving the coin a haunting and layered appearance that made it one of the most visually complex errors ever documented. Additionally, parts of the coin showed signs of a partial brokerage strike on the reverse, where part of a previously struck coin became jammed and left a distorted mirrored impression, warping the lower section of the Lincoln Memorial and giving it a surreal, almost melting look, and this combined with a tilted collar strike that caused uneven expansion at the rim, leading to slight distortion and off-centeredness, created a visual effect that was both chaotic and mesmerizing. The overall look of the coin was as if multiple minting catastrophes had collided to produce a coin that defied all logic and standard classifications, making it almost impossible to categorize in conventional terms. Experts began referring to it as a multi-error mega anomaly because no single label could capture the sheer range of issues present on the piece. After authentication and grading by PCGS, which assigned it a miraculous MS65 red-brown with special pedigree designations for its multiple known errors, the coin was featured in numismatic journals, national newspapers, and documentaries that sought to explore its improbable origins and sensational discovery. Speculation about how such a coin could even exist began to swirl, with some theories suggesting that it may have been produced during a shift change or maintenance period at the mint when safeguards were temporarily bypassed, while others suggested that a rogue mint employee may have intentionally assembled mismatched dies and planches to create a unique error coin, whether accidental or intentional. The resulting coin became the stuff of legends, and after months of private showings and negotiations, it was eventually offered at a private auction in Dubai where elite collectors from around the globe gathered to bid on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The bidding war lasted nearly 4 hours with multiple international bidders fiercely driving up the price until it finally sold for a staggering $10 million to a private collector in Hong Kong, making it one of the most expensive modern US coins ever sold, and securing its place in the pantheon of numismatic legends. The coin has since become a centerpiece in numismatic literature, a case study in error coin documentation, and an object of envy for collectors everywhere who now scour their 1989 D pennies in hopes of finding something even remotely similar. It's a coin that transcends its monetary denomination and serves as a tangible reminder of how even the most ordinary items, like a 1-cent coin, can become a monument to chaos, luck, error, and human fascination. The coin's incredible story continues to inspire and mystify, prompting questions about how many more ultra-rare errors might still be out there hiding in bankrolls, forgotten jars, or dusty drawers, waiting to be recognized for what they truly are. And so the legend of the $10 million 1989 D penny lives on as a symbol of imperfection turned into perfection, chaos transformed into rarity, and the magic that happens when fate and minting machinery collide in the most extraordinary ways.